Life in plastic is fantastic. So the other day I was invited to an exhibitor screening of Greta Gerwig's new film, Barbie. Greta Gerwig, director of Little Women. She's the woman who gets shot in the face by the pizza guy in Ty West's House of the Devil. And Margot Robbie playing Barbie, and Ryan Gosling. There's all the Ryans. I always forget which one's which. Playing Ken. So if you had to imagine in your head what a Barbie movie would be about, would you imagine that it would deal with existentialism, gender roles, patriarchy, beauty standards? Well, I guess that one. This is an interesting movie because the trailers give you the idea, Barbie goes to the real world. So in that regard, it's sort of like if John Waters made a mix of the Lego Movie, Enchanted, and Elf. Elf especially, and two of those movies have Will Ferrell in them, who's also in this movie. It's also a movie that outwardly makes fun of its parent company and mocks the legal troubles of the woman who created the doll. So in that regard, it's very interesting and also pretty refreshing. The movie is, has this great kind of an Elf too, where they go from the Rankin Bass style stop motion Christmassy world to New York City. This one, the way that they are able to put the Barbie world on camera is great because it feels flat and it feels like the toys, everything is see-through and folds out, and the backgrounds all feel like cardboard. It's really, really cool the way they do it. And then the real world Los Angeles obviously is real world Los Angeles. Barbie has a perfect life in Barbie world where the women are presidents and they run the Supreme Court, and everyone's Barbie except that they're not Barbie, like Skipper and what's Ken's friend name? I don't know. Ken has a friend that's Michael Cera in the movie, but they do a good job in the movie of showing you some of the really cheesy versions of Barbie and her friends, and discontinued ones, like a pregnant Barbie or one that when you lift the arm its boobs grow, stuff like that. But yeah, so the Kens are just Barbie's boyfriends or friends, and right off the bat you have kind of the gender inequality in this world where they are seen as just the friends, but it's also like the relationships are from the point of view of a child almost, where Ken is like, I'm going to sleep over tonight. And she's like, why? He's like, because we're boyfriend and girlfriends. Like, what are we going to do? He's like, I actually don't know. So there's a lot of it acts on child logic. But all of a sudden Barbie's life starts to unravel. Her feet become flat. When they turn on the water in the shower, nothing comes out, or when they drink, nothing comes out, like imagination, but the imaginary water's cold now, and her imaginary milk is expired. When she goes to float down every morning to there's a singer who's singing how great Barbie's life is, and then as things start to get worse, that finds its way into the song as well. So something's wrong with Barbie, and she has to go to one of the messed up Barbies who Kate McKinnon plays, who's one of the toys that was played with too much. Her hair's cut, she's got drawing all over her face, she's always in splits, and she basically says, you have to go to the real world to find the person who is playing with you like this so that you can fix it and come back. So she and Ken go to the real world, and it's there that Ken finds out that in that world, men run everything, and to him, though, the patriarchy is about horses. He seems to be driven into that. So when he comes back with that knowledge, things start to shift, and now, men are in charge of everything there, and I love it. They're like, throw me a brewski beer, and he's like, oh, I'm just hanging out here in my my Mojo Dojo Casa house. Ryan Gosling as Ken is really, really good in this movie. His comedy is very broad, but again, in a very childlike way. And then you'll have these well choreographed, like, dance scenes that are, like, straight out of Grease. The movie, not the country. And then, Will Ferrell is the head of Mattel. And, once before a doll got out into the real world and they had to squash it. So they need to stop Barbie from getting, from people finding out that Barbie's real and the whole thing. So, a lot of that you've gathered from the trailers. And there's some great lines in the movie. The intern for the Mattel guys is like, I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman? Or when Will Ferrell's like, all I'm interested in is children and their imaginations, but in the least creepy way possible. Ken, when he's having to, like, daily affirmations, is I'm Kenuff on his shirt. I don't know. It's really, really well done. But the reason that I'm making this video, not so much a review, because I really dug the movie, but more so the idea of when we were coming out of the screening, one of the other exhibitors goes, "Ugh, that was so woke." And I wanted to challenge him on what woke means to him. He elaborated a little bit more that said he didn't care for the feminist agenda, which is weird because Barbie's been a feminist icon since, like, the 60s. My biggest takeaway from this, aside from it's an entertaining movie, and yes, it's a movie about women and what it's like to be a woman in this world, in a male-dominated world. But again, like, why are we gatekeeping, as straight white dudes, why are we gatekeeping Barbie? Like, even The Little Mermaid. Like, I don't agree with the Ghostbusters thing, but I get it, okay? There's tons of ladies who like Ghostbusters, but Ghostbusters have always been a boy thing, at least in my world. So I get it when there was girl Ghostbusters and they didn't like it, and it's like, I didn't like it, me personally, I didn't like it not because they were ladies, but because it was a fucking terrible script, You can't just do mumblecore comedy. Like, there has to be, not everything can be improv. Some things, scripts have to exist. Like, the way that the original Ghostbusters movie works so well is because it had an incredible script, and then you have all these creative actors and comedians working at the same time at the height of their powers who can bring something different to that script, and you have the greatest going into business story ever told in a movie. So, I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but, like, you had The Little Mermaid. Oh, The Little Mermaid's black now. And I remember saying to a dude who came into the theater, I was like, when was the last time you thought of The Little Mermaid? Was that a movie that meant so much to you that you're offended that an imaginary character is now not your skin tone? They're imaginary. They could be whatever the fuck you want them to be, or anything, It's like John Landis once said, he's like, his son asked him, John Landis, killed 2-3 people, and his son is a sex predator. But his son said to his father, how do you kill a vampire? And John Landis said, however the fuck you want. They don't exist, So all of a sudden you've got guys who are super upset about the racial swap of The Little Mermaid, and now they're really upset about Barbie? Like, not everything has to be geared towards me, And granted, I was going to see the movie regardless. I like everybody involved. I like the conceit of the idea. But, like, it's okay to make movies that are not geared towards guys like me. It's okay to make movies that, like, that other people can go and enjoy. And, and I'm sorry, a race swap, a gender swap is in a pop culture thing. It happens, man. I don't know what to tell you, but when you're going to get, like, all up in arms, Barbie's not one of the fucking Avengers, we don't have to worry about that. So his whole woke thing, like, rubbed me the wrong way, because in no way, it's like in the new Indiana Jones movie. They're like, oh, it's woke because there's a female with her own, like, wherewithal in it. She played that robot in Solo that people didn't like, and I didn't know that was her voice. And yeah, the robot was kind of annoying, but, like, just because you play one character doesn't mean that's the only character you can ever play. Like, fucking, Anthony Hopkins isn't really a cannibal. Christopher Lee wasn't really Dracula. but like, yeah, so this dude's getting all pissed off about fucking Barbie, and I want it to be like, this is made for little girls who've grown, women who grew up playing with Barbie. Um, I don't know if Barbie is still like a thing now the way it was. Like in the 80s, Barbie was everywhere. All my girl cousins had Barbie. There was Barbie Nintendo games and fucking sheets and bedspreads and all kinds of sleeping bags and shit like that. My cousin Bernadette used to have like everything Barbie and everything Gem and the Holograms. But like we're getting mad and everything is woke now because it's not saying men are bad. The movie, it's saying that there is an inequality and we don't understand what women are going through. But also like in the same regard, the way that Ken treats his best friend, the way that Barbie treats Ken, it goes all around of what the problems with a matriarchy and a patriarchy are. So it actually has things to say about gender norms and sexual politics in this country and in the world, and the struggles of women, but done through fucking Margot Robbie as a doll. The movie opens incredibly. It starts with Helen Mirren is the narrator, and she it's the beginning of 2001, Stanley Kubrick's 2001, and little girls at that time only had like baby dolls where they could be mothers or whatever, and then all of a sudden the monolith appears, but it's the 1950s Barbie, and everything is the same, where they're smashing the skull like they do, but it's a baby doll, and then tossing the other one up in the air, and it changes into the title like it does the spacecraft in 2001. Thought that opening was fantastic. Also, I like that the narrator, Barbie's talking about how ugly she is, and the movie stops, and the narrator goes, "Here's just a note for the filmmakers: if you're gonna have someone say that they're ugly, maybe we don't cast Margot Robbie." But no, I didn't. You really gotta convince yourself that there's these messages in something, instead of just letting something wash over you and leaving going like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. I never thought about women in, I mean, I do, but because I've had a lot of female managers and pretty much every girlfriend I've ever had was essentially my boss. So like, I get it. And America Ferrera has this whole long speech about like, what a woman has to do and not do because she won't be seen as this or she'll be seen as this. And then with our male ego and all that kind of stuff. And I like their plan on how they because once the men take over, the women are instantly brainwashed, and even the president becomes a ditz. I do like when they get to the real world, there's a bikini model beer ad hanging up, and they're like, oh, that must be their Supreme Court, I don't know. I didn't see this as woke. I hate that fucking word anyway. Again, not everything is made for me as the demographic. Sometimes things are made for ladies. Sometimes things are made for gay people, for whatever you want it to be. And inclusion is super fucking important, because that's the only way that these characters that we love are going to exist forever is if they adapt to modern times. So to do something like this with Barbie, and Barbie actually started out as a German sex doll in the 1950s. And then the woman and her husband brought it over here. And then Rhea Perlman plays the ghost of the woman who created Barbie because she had major tax problems, but her ghost keeps a office on the 17th floor, and everybody who works there is just fine with that. I love that how they have to get from Barbie world to the real world is first you have to take a jet ski, then you have to take a rocket ship, and it's just all these childlike cutouts of those things, and that stuff I thought was really, really cool. Does it have a message? Yeah, it has a message. And maybe if we listen a little bit as dudes, maybe we can learn something. But it doesn't beat you over the fucking head with it. It's an entertaining story about, how communication is important. That's the fucking plot of Mad Max Fury Road. When men and women actually work together, shit gets done. That's the biggest fucking thing. So, to the guy who came out of the screening and said that it was woke and that it was the feminist agenda, you know, and I didn't even touch on the fact that, like, to a lot of people, Barbie represents like a negative thing for women because it creates an impossible beauty standard or wealth standard that women can't ever, you know, that a lot of women can't achieve. And so I know a lot of people who weren't allowed to have Barbies when they were kids because of that. And this movie does you know, it goes into that a little bit as well, where you have America Ferrera's daughter who's kind of like mean and very, and she's woke, but the mother played with these dolls when she was a kid, and her life is such a mess at work that she's kind of retreated back into the things from her youth that made her happy, which is what we all fucking do. Every fucking jackass on YouTube who makes these fucking videos where we you know, are so stuck in the 80s or the 90s or whatever, like, that's what you're doing. Yeah, the world sucks. You have kids, you have bills, you have fucking job, you whatever. So you retreat back into retro video games, retro toys, retro movies, comic books, whatever. It's the same fucking thing, you know? So, yeah, I really like this movie. I do recommend it quite a bit. I kind of want to see Ryan Gosling get nominated for an Oscar for this because his performance is that fucking good. You know, the weird other Barbies that are in the movie are great. You know, the costumes are great. The look of Barbie World is fantastic. Even when they go to the real world and they're rollerblading in their neon outfits and she's getting catcalled and she's like, I'm just so you guys know, I don't even have a vagina. And he doesn't even have a penis. Neither of us have genitals. And they skate away and Ken is so like nervous around other guys. He's like, I have all the genitals, and just slowly like skates off camera. It was good. I liked it. And I just, you know, all you have to do is search YouTube and go like, is Barbie woke? And you'll come upon all the types of guys who are making these kind of videos. It's total fucking clickbait. That's why I called this one what I did. But I hate the word. I think it's fucking stupid. I think it's bait. You know, everyone should be able to enjoy, you know, various types of media. Do I think that some companies just gender or race swap characters so they can pat themselves on the back, and if the character is only its race or its sexual orientation, it's not really a character then, it's just an excuse for them to go, look at us, look how progressive we are. I hate seeing that shit. But like, you know, The Little Mermaid being black, she was the best part of the fucking movie. She was beautiful, she was a great singer. Who cares, you know? And in this, you're going to get mad at a movie where fucking Margot Robbie plays Barbie? Like, that's perfect casting, you know? So, I don't know. Tell me what you thought if you get a chance to see it, or tell me what movies you think are too woke now, because I think it's fucking nonsense. I just think it's an excuse for dudes of my age to kind of, like, gatekeep a lot more, and some people are only happy when they're miserable. The only joy they get out of life is being shitty online and trying to, you know, be an edgelord. I don't know, man. I don't go looking for that shit. I got enough fucking problems in my life to worry about, you know, if Batgirl is you know, woke or whatever. If Indiana Jones is woke. No, they never did that. Because what I was waiting for in that movie was for, like, Helen Shaw to be like, oh, a white man in the 1960s and you don't understand. But no, she doesn't do that, you know? Not everything is woke! All right. And Barbie Girl is never technically in the movie. The Aqua song, there's a remixed version of it that's in the end credits. So that was a little disappointing. Because I think it was mentioned in The Flash when he says, come on, Barbie, let's go party. That would have been a perfect place for a needle drop there where the song plays during the big fight scene, but they didn't do it, so it's just a weird random line for The Flash to say. But then again, nobody saw The fucking Flash except me. I saw it twice. I really dug it. I don't know. All right, have a good one.